Patrick, what are you doing here?
How much have you had to drink?
Mom and Dad, I have to talk to you about something really important. Have you ever seen any of the Fast and Furious movies?
No.
No.
Okay, well, you should. And right now, we're gonna talk about why. So look, I know these movies are massively popular and make billions of dollars and don't need me to defend them. But I also know that a lot of people have just dismissed them as those dumb car movies and don't bother with them. And I understand that, because I used to be like that myself. For a full decade, from 2001 to 2011, I just totally dismissed them as the movies that only the really stupid people in my high school liked who were obsessed with cars. And then things changed in 2011. Fast 5 was about to come out, and I looked at the trailers and was like, wait a second, this actually looks good. There's like cool practical car stunts, The Rock is in it, people say lines like,
"This just went from Mission Impossible to Mission and freaking Sanity."
And then the reviews hit, and if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes scores for the first 4 movies, they're all not good, like mostly 20s and 30s. And you get to the 5th movie, and all of a sudden it's like high 70s. And what other movie series does that? I'll tell you. None of them. So anyway, I marathoned the first 4 movies and got super into them, and then saw the 5th one and totally fell in love.
I think I'm in love.
There is no other movie series as strange and fascinating as the Fast and Furious movies. No other series has evolved the way this has. The first one is about illegal street racers in LA stealing DVD players, and now the upcoming 8th one has cars driving on glaciers and The Rock throwing torpedoes with his bare hands at submarines. These movies are the goddamn best. So let's get into it. Something you should know is that every fan of these movies has a different ranking, and so what I'm gonna say will be controversial to some. The first movie, not that good. It's basically a knockoff of Point Break, but with Paul Walker as Keanu and Vin Diesel as Swayze, except at the end, Vin Diesel doesn't die. Instead of surfing, it's about illegal street racing, which, as it turns out, is really boring. All the cars just drive in a straight line, and then near the end of the race, they press the NOS button, and there's the CGI fly-through of the engine, and then they get a turbo boost, and someone wins. So the races aren't exciting and kind of suck, although it does give us the great moment of Ja Rule shouting, "No!" So most of the movie is kind of dull, but what is interesting is the world it introduces us to that has a lot of potential. It's this cool, diverse world with all these different characters, and Vin Diesel with his impossibly deep voice and vague ethnicity is kind of like the father figure to all these characters. And Michelle Rodriguez is doing her usual angry, tough woman thing, but cranked up to 11, and it's hilarious. And also, there's like this racing festival they go to called Race Wars.
Race Wars.
And who thought of that name? Anyway, Too Fast, Too Furious. This one is also not great, but it's dumb in an endearing kind of way. So Dominic Toretto, aka Vin Diesel, is not in this one because he's off in Mexico living his life a quarter mile at a time. So we follow former cop Brian O'Connor, played by Paul Walker, to Florida, where he has to work for the FBI to catch a criminal, but he's like, hey, to do this, I've got to bring my old buddy Roman Pierce, played by Tyrese. This movie feels like a 2-hour pilot for a USA original series, in that it's super homoerotic, because Brian and Roman's entire relationship feels like 2 former lovers reconnecting. Like when they first meet, they'd end up fighting and like rolling around on the ground together. And Paul Walker has an actual love interest played by Eva Mendes, but every time she enters a scene, Tyrese glares at her and then storms away like he's really jealous. And at the end of the movie, who goes off into the sunset together? Paul Walker and Tyrese. Also, Tyrese says "breh" in like every scene, and it's great.
It's a oasis in here, bruh. It's about to get serious, bruh.
Plus, this movie introduces us to the character Tej, played by Ludacris, who will be important later on. And this is a movie with Ludacris where different characters quote Ludacris songs.
Move, bitch!
Okay, straight up, anyone who tells you that Tokyo Drift is the worst movie in the series is wrong, and you should cut those people out of your life. This is the movie where the whole series changes, where the 2 most important people in the franchise enter the picture. Director Justin Lin, who would go on to make 4, 5, and 6, and writer Chris Morgan, who would go on to write 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and presumably 9 and 10. So Tokyo Drift is about an American teenager who goes to live with his father in Tokyo, and there he encounters their world of illegal street racing. And first off, a big improvement to this movie is that the races are actually interesting because the cars have to turn. Also, the cars aren't CGI all the time. They're actually practical, so it's way cooler. And what's also nice is that in the first 2 movies, everyone was just awesome at driving, like right from the beginning. But in this movie, the American teenager does not know how to do the Tokyo drifting that they all do, so he sucks at first. and he has to learn, and there are training montages where he improves. And that's when you realize that this movie is basically like a high school sports movie combined with a martial arts movie. Also, Sonny Chiba plays the head of the Yakuza, and it's great. And it's in this movie where we meet the best character in probably the whole series, Han. And they never say it out loud, but if you look at the credits, you can see his last name is actually... Yes, that's right. But this isn't the first movie that Han has appeared in. See, Justin Lin's first film is this really good indie movie called Better Luck Tomorrow about Asian American teenagers in California. And in that movie, there's this really cool supporting character named Han, played by Sung Kang. And so, when Justin Lin signed on to make Tokyo Drift, he just brought the same character played by the same actor over to that. And here's what's important. 2/3 of the way through the movie, Han dies in a fiery car crash. And in the final scene, Dominic Toretto returns and says that Han and him used to ride together. And so cut to movie 4. So at the beginning of the movie, Dom and his crew are in Mexico pulling this big truck heist. And who is a member of his crew? Han. And that's when you realize you're watching a prequel to Tokyo Drift. And the timeline just gets crazier from there. So I'm just gonna say, the 4th movie is the worst in the series. This one is like kind of trying to be a Michael Mann movie. So it's more of a crime thriller. It's really dark and moody and serious. And everyone's all upset because Letty, played by Michelle Rodriguez, dies in the first act. And so everyone's just bummed all the time, and that kind of style and tone don't really fit well with this big, goofy, sincere series. And so most of this movie is pretty boring, and also the climax, just all CGI cars in CGI tunnels, and no one gives a shit about CGI cars. But it is an important transition point, because this is the movie that brings back all the original characters. So Dom and Brian and Mia and Letty, they're all back together. This is important because it sets the stage for the series to get truly great, which it does with Also, the 4th movie is worth watching for the ridiculous scene where Dom goes to the crash scene where Letty got killed, and based on like a smudge on the ground, he uses what are apparently magic CSI powers to like piece together and recreate exactly how the crash happened. It's bonkers. So what's insane about this franchise is that it took until the 5th movie to figure out what it's really supposed to be. Like, it started as street racing Point Break, and this point has morphed into, as my friend Jamie described it, Axe Body Spray Ocean's 11. See, this one brings back every character who's pretty much ever appeared in the series, meaning Roman, Tej, Giselle from the 4th movie, played by a pre-Wonder Woman Gal Gadot, and of course, Han, and they're all in Rio together to pull a big heist involving numerous car chases, and they're being pursued by The Rock. Now, as we all know, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is a national treasure and currently one of our truly great movie stars. Now, this is a bold statement, but I'm just gonna say it. His role as Luke Hobbs in these movies represent him in his ultimate form. He is at maximum intensity at all moments. He speaks almost entirely in one-liners.
I'm gonna put a hurt on him so bad he's gonna wish his mama had kept her legs closed.
Fast 5, being a PG-13 movie, uses its one fuck to give to him in his introductory scene.
Stay the fuck out of my way.
And he is perpetually sweating. So like in Furious 7, in his first scene, he's doing paperwork while wiping sweat off his brow. So Fast 5 represents a big step up for the franchise in 3 ways, but the biggest one might be adding The Rock to the ensemble. The second one is the new focus on practical stunt work. So no more bullshit CGI cars. These are real stunts and they look great. And the third is the series' recommitment to the theme of family. Bringing in all these characters forms this huge makeshift family, and Dom will not let you forget that. To give you an example, here is an edit of all the times people say family in movies 5, 6, and 7.
Family.
Family, family.
Family.
Family, family, family.
Family, family.
Family.
Family. Family.
Family. Family.
Family.
Family.
Family.
Family. Family. Family. Salute me, familia.
If you need an example of how far from its original roots this series has come, there's a scene in the movie where they need some cars for their heist, and so they go to a street race, like where the original movies were set, and then it just cuts to after the race when they've already won the cars. Like, it doesn't give a shit about racing anymore. They have better things to focus on. But anyway, let me talk more about Han. See, in Fast 5, Han and Giselle fall in love and get together, and it's beautiful and wonderful. And at the end of the movie, she's like,
I thought you wanted to go to Tokyo.
We'll get there. Eventually.
and there's this huge dramatic irony, because you know eventually he's going to go to Tokyo and he's going to die. So at the climactic scene of the 6th movie, Giselle sacrifices her life to save Han, and he is so distraught that he leaves and goes to Tokyo. And so in the post-credit scene of Furious 6, we're back in the car chase from Tokyo Drift, and Han gets hit by another car, and he dies in the car crash. But then that other car, it stops, and someone gets out. And it's Jason Statham, as the brother of the villain from the movie that you just watched. And he calls Dom, and he's like,
Dominic Toretto. You don't know me. You're about to.
and the whole timeline has come full circle. See, here is where the Fast and Furious movies become the best superhero franchise in Hollywood. Like, at this point, these movies have become a better adaptation of Claremont X-Men than the actual X-Men movies. They managed to tie in every character and everything that's ever happened in the series. Like the 5th movie, in the post-credits scene, they bring back Eva Mendes's character from Too Fast, Too Furious, and she's working with The Rock. And then she reveals to him that Letty is still alive, but she's working with this evil team that's like the doppelganger version of Dom's team, where each one has their own counterpart. It's like the Masters of Evil or the Frightful Four. And so in the 6th movie, Dom's team has to team up with The Rock to fight this evil team and save the world and restore Letty's memory. And now apparently in the 8th movie, Dom betrays the team and starts working with evil Charlize Theron. I have no idea what's going on. Because what's great is that unlike every other big franchise in Hollywood right now, these movies have no source material. They're not based on anything, so we have no idea what's going to happen. Like the 7th one, it brings in Kurt Russell as a guy named Mr. Nobody. The 8th one, Helen Mirren is playing Jason Statham's mom. This is insane. What's gonna happen in 9 and 10? I have no idea. But what's great about the series is that it knows exactly what it is. It knows how to be big and crazy and exciting, but there's also this sincerity to it. The movies love and care about these characters. So as tired as you might get of Vin Diesel saying the word family, they really believe it. Like, in the 7th one, as we all know, Paul Walker tragically died during the production of the movie. And so at the end, they give his character the happy ending that he couldn't have in real life. And it ends with this extended tribute to him, which walks right up to breaking the fourth wall, but doesn't quite, and it would be totally out of place in like any other series, but it works here. Because this is a series about family. And people driving cars really fast. And furiously. And since apparently there's going to be 10 movies total, here is a list of things that I would like to see in the remaining films. First of all, they should go into space. Specifically, I want to see Tej driving a car in space. A car outrunning an atomic blast. Cars jumping from plane to plane. Cars jumping across rooftops, but like 10 rooftops. A crossover with Xander Cage, so double diesel. A crossover with the Bike Fu women from Torque. Bring Han back. If Letty can come back, why not him too? At some point, The Rock should throw a car. Time travel. Call one of them the Past of the Furious. Dom's body should fuse with the car so he finally reaches his ultimate form as a car-human hybrid. So like Tetsuo the Iron Man type stuff. Maybe like evil clones, like fighting evil clones of themselves. Since they've already got Kurt Russell, bring in Val Kilmer so we can have a Tombstone reunion. C-tapes. Put Channing Tatum in one. The last one should have a plot all about stealing DVD players to bring it all full circle. Anyway, here, watch these movies, ride or die, salud mi familia. I'll see you later.
Do you know what he was talking about?
No, but he seems to really care about someone named Han.